The GROW model in coaching stands for G, goals, R, reality, O, options, and W, will or way forward. This is a model that's frequently used to help us understand that the coaching session has an arc that goes with it. In the beginning of the session, you need to help the client identify what's the goal. What is it that they want to be able to accomplish in your time with them? So we ask questions like, what is it that you'd like to achieve in this session? Or what do you need that you don't already have? This identifies the agenda for the coaching session and helps us help the client. Then we ask the reality. So how are things actually? We're trying to raise awareness of the current situation and what the reality is and how this is impacting the client's goals. Then we look at options. We look at how might we go about getting the goal accomplished. We're going to try to use solution-focused questions, action-oriented thinking, and brainstorming to come up with different pathways that the person can take to help them achieve their goals. And then way forward. What will they do to put what you've been talking about into practice? This is so important because one of the things that makes coaching is that with every single session, there should be action that we can take or things that the person commits to doing. Some forms of therapy, not all forms of therapy, but some forms of therapy spend a lot of time just sort of talking about the person and what they're experiencing, how they're feeling, or how their past has impacted their present. Coaching really focuses on making sure that we drive action. That doesn't mean that we don't take into account how the person feels right now. It doesn't mean that we are disregarding their past either. We dip into the past to better understand the present. But we always want to make sure that there's an element of action that we can get the person taking, because remember, coaching is about bridging a gap between where a person is and where they want to be. So we want to help the person identify next steps, develop a specific action plan that can foster motivation and help them maintain both their momentum and accountability. And there's different types of questions that we can ask that fall under each section. Goal questions include things like, what do you want to get out of this session? What would be the best use of our time? Or how would you like to feel after this session? You don't have to ask all three, you can just ask one of those questions, and that establishes the goal of your time with the person. Then reality. You ask a question like, where are you currently and where do you want to be? How does this issue show up for you in your life? How are things now and how is this not serving you? Again, you don't need all of them, just one of them is enough to get the client to think through and expand upon what's happening for them in the moment. Then we can ask option questions. What options are there, or what could be done? What's the most important thing to do next, and what else could you do? These are questions that get us thinking about solutions, brainstorming possibilities. And then way forward. Which of these options would be most effective? What exactly will you do? Or how can you overcome any of barriers that you might be facing? These are questions that have to do about the future. And the beautiful thing is that when you're just starting off the coaching process, you could keep it as simple as asking a question from the goal section, a question from the reality section, a question from the option section, and a question from the way forward section, and you have a coaching session. Obviously, within that, you would include some paraphrasing, some active listening, and getting really clear on what is it that they want. But in many ways, coaching can be a very simple process. Over time, what happens is you no longer need this framework, and this arc of the coaching session just becomes a part of who you are. And you'll be very focused in the beginning of trying to understand what is it that this person wants? What do they need that they don't currently have? And then, what are our options? How can we make this happen? And then, what will they do to move forward? And you'll move away from needing a structured approach to just feeling very easy about the process. And lastly, I want to remind you that we can enhance the whole coaching process with many of the things that we have been talking about previously in this achievement module. How we can use our SMART plus goals to enhance the type of things that we do with our clients. We can make sure that the goal is specific and clear, that it's challenging, that it's an approach goal, that we're using primers, that we have an element of accountability, rewards and celebrations, and you could even add implementation intentions into the mix. All of this makes for a formula of a powerful way to help people bridge the gap between where they are and where they want to be. Any questions about the GROW model?